like it's me versus me. Don't see competition, why would you compete? Don't even gotta be woke, still gonna be up.
What's up, loves? It's your girl Destiny LaShawn. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But today I'm gonna just basically tell y'all like my life story, basically where I grew up at, how times got hard and everything like that. So let's get into it. So basically I was born and raised in South Carolina. I was raised in a small town called Whitehall. If y'all know what Whitehall is, it's basically like Walterboro of South Carolina. A lot of people don't know what Walterboro, South Carolina is. So basically every time somebody asks me where I'm from, I just say Charleston, South Carolina, because everybody knows Charleston, South Carolina, literally. But yeah, I was born and raised in Whitehall, South Carolina. I was raised by my mother, my grandparents. I'm trying to remember like some stuff because, you know, I was like really little and I remember like a lot of stuff from my childhood. But I had great grandparents and a great mother that just raised me, make sure they provided like food for me, clothes for me and my sister, just like the necessities that we needed. I don't remember too much of my mom because around the age of 7, I was little and she was on her deathbed, and my sister was 17. Me and my sister are 10 years apart, so I'm 21. She about to be 31 this month. Next week she gonna be 31. But basically my childhood was going great, like when I was a baby, until I got like by the age of like 7 years old. So at the age of 7 years old, my mother, when I was 7 years old and my sister was 17, my mother passed away from ovarian cancer. It was hard on us because we were in the hospital that night and we watched her die, like take her last breath in the hospital. If I can remember, I think it was called Somerville Medical Center or something like that. That's when we were living in Somerville. We moved from Whitehall. Somerville was probably like a good hour and 20 minutes or 45 minutes to Walterboro and back and stuff like that. So we weren't that far from where we grew up. We just moved out of Walterboro. So yeah, we watched her die that day. And down, I know it was kind of hard for my sister because she was close with our mother. I didn't really know our mother like that. Like, I didn't have a chance to get to know her. I knew she was a great mom. About that, I heard like she used to do for her kids. She always was the type of mother that provided for her kids. She always would make sure that her kids had everything before she did. Like for instance, she always made sure her kids had their hair done or had clothes before she had clothes, or before she got her hair done and everything like that. But I know my sister was like really heartbroken because she knew her more. My sister had to take care of her when she was sick, like literally when she was in her 1 through 4 stages of cancer. My sister had to feed her, still make sure I was good because I was in elementary at the time. She had to make sure I was still good, going to school, doing my homework, feeding me, just giving me things that I need, like a necessity. So yeah, my sister had to do it all. Basically she was the mother because it's like my mother was already sick. She couldn't really do for her children how she was doing before because she was already sick and literally she was dying. So yeah, when I was 7 that happened to me. After my mother passed, me and my sister moved from Somerville back to Walterboro, but we were living in this area called Ruffin. We were staying at my uncle's house. My uncle, you know, my father really wasn't in our life like that. Like he would come around when he wanted to. He would come around to use my mother or threaten her and stuff like that if she was to find somebody else, like in a relationship wise and stuff like that. Like he would just use her. He really wasn't there for his kids at all. Well, his other kids he was, but not for me and my sister. But we were staying in Ruffin. We went back to Walterboro after my mother died. We were staying with my uncle, which was my mother's brother, my mother's only brother. Shout out to him. We still talk to our uncle. He's still living. He's still healthy and living. We still talk to him. I literally just texted him like Friday or Thursday that just passed this week. But we were staying with him, and I guess my father found out, and the police came and they took me from my uncle's house, and I was forced to move with my father. That's when me and my sister were separated for many of years. Remind you, I was 7 and my sister was 17 when all of this was taking place. We were separated for many of years. Like, I didn't get to live with my sister until I was in 9th grade of high school, and I was 15 years old, so you do the math. So I separated from my sister for what, like 9 years? 8 to 9 years we were separated. Like, we would barely see each other. Like, it was just hard because like we had just lost our mother, and I didn't expect like in a couple of hours, like a couple of hours later, I was gonna be removed from my sister and be forced to live with my father. So in my father's household, it was him, his wife, and his other children. Remind you, his other children, we all have the same father but different mother. So I was forced to stay with his children, was abused every day, dragged through the house, barely eating, would go to school looking any kind of way, hair messed up, raggedy clothes. It's just, that's how they treated me. Like, my father had money. Remind you, he was a truck driver, and his kids, his other kids at the time were, I think, still in I think they were in high school or whatever. But he was a truck driver, so you know, he was barely home, and when he wasn't home, he would be asleep. But yeah, I was abused by his other children and his wife. And I just can remember the time when I first like moved with them. His wife dragged me like in the kitchen by my hair, like literally had my hair and was just dragging me. And I just remember screaming, like really screaming for help. Like, I just, nobody could help me that time. And I also forgot to mention, when I moved with my father, my sister also came, but he had my sister sleeping on a nasty, dirty couch while I was sleeping in a bunk bed with his other daughter by his wife, and I was on the bunk bed. I just remember my sister having to leave. Like, she left me. She had no choice. I just knew she was gonna always come back for me, but she had no choice because I believe he kicked her out. I'm not sure, but she had no choice but to leave me. So I was stuck there in his household for about 8 to 9 years with his wife and his other children. I just remember his other children talking about my mother, like when she was already dead. Like, I think this was like 2 years, 3 years after. And I just remember, like, I was a child, so I just remember saying, I'm gonna get my mother out the grave and I'm gonna get her to get y'all and stuff like that, because I was just abused. I was just traumatized. I was just going through the motions, like going through so much, because, you know, my mother, it's like, now you having to stay with another woman that's not your mother, and she's treating you worse. It's like, my situation is kind of sounds like the Cinderella story with the evil stepmother and the sisters and stuff like that. That's what my story kind of sounds like. But yeah, I had to deal with that for about 8 to 9 years. I would go times where they wouldn't feed me, or I will go to times, like, say for instance when school about to start, or like we in the middle of the school year and I need my hair done, I will go with my hair not being done for so long. I remember his wife, she could not stand my guts because she knew I was an image of my mother, and she did not like my mother. Like, you can't be mad at my mother because your husband was cheating with my mother and still talking to you at the same time. You could not be mad at that. She was mad at the wrong person, honestly. But, you know, I was a spitting image of my mama, and I'm still am. And, you know, she couldn't stand the fact that that's how it was. So she just would, like, she just would be so evil, so cruel to me, treat me like an animal. Like, I didn't deserve to be in her house. I didn't deserve to be around her family and stuff like that. She I remember I started wearing, like, you know, if people, a bunch of y'all probably don't know, but I used to wear beads, and elementary to middle school, and it was so embarrassing because she really hated me. She had me wear beads in the 9th grade, and around that time, you know, females like us was wearing braids and stuff like that, but she still had me wearing beads. I would go to school getting teased and stuff like that, and I just remember sometimes I would just pull the beads out my head because I was so embarrassed. Like, I was really getting bullied about that. And also, I don't know why it's like this, but ever since I was little, my neck has been black like this. I don't know why. I really don't know why that. It's been like that since I started living with my father when I was a child. When I was with my mother, my neck was never like black like this, but it's been like that since I was little. I used to get teased about that in school. They would say, oh, you don't wash your neck, you're dirty. And that wasn't the case because I would always wash. I just never knew why it was like this and everything like that. But yeah, I was wearing beads from elementary to like literally the 9th grade, and I would get bullied for that. I kind of would get bullied for my weight because my weight started to fluctuate around middle schoolish going into high school, so I would get bullied for that. I would get bullied for like the clothes that I had to wear, because remind you, my father would always be like, I don't have no money to buy you clothes, so I would just go to school looking all kind of way and get bullied for that. But that's how I was, like literally that's how I was. And when the times when I would get abused, my father was never home. Remind you, like I said, he was a truck driver, so when I would get abused, he was never freaking home. It was just, he would always take his wife's word before he take mine. He would always say that I'm lying, and every time he would get home, I would get a beating. I would have bruises on my body, on my legs, like my whole body, like my legs, my arms, my back, my butt. Like I would have bruises from getting beatings because he would say I'm lying. He would take his wife's word before he took mine, his own child. But that's just how I was. I just remember one night I got a beating. I can't remember what it was for, but I got a beating. And I just remember like going in a bathtub and I had scratches on my booty, and I just remember sitting in the tub and my booty would burn because of the scratches. Like that's how hard he beat me. He would beat me for so long. I would try to hide my hand behind my butt. I would try to put like extra layers of clothes on and stuff like that, and he just would find out. And I'm just like, I stayed getting a beating when I was little. My mother didn't even beat me. Probably like once when I spilled like red polish on her carpet, and she told me not to open that polish, and I still did it anyways. I did not listen. But yeah, I probably got a beating once for that. Other than that, the beatings my father would give me were so abusive. Like it's just, you shouldn't beat your child like that, the way he would beat me. But yeah, I would go to school with bruises and stuff. I would have teachers ask me, am I okay, trying to call him and see what's going on in the household. And I used to stop them from calling him, and I just would be like, I'm okay, when in reality I was never okay. It's just, why would you put your child through that if you knew she lost her mother a couple of years ago? Like, why would you put your child through that? It just was a lot. I would want to just stay home in the room sometimes, but he would force me like to go with them places, like his wife. He would force me to go places with his wife or his other kids, and I'm just like, I don't want to. And his other kids and his wife, like even my father, they never liked my sister. My sister did nothing to them. They never liked her. They always would treat her bad. Like they never liked her at all. Even my father's parents, they never liked her, except for my father's, his father. He always asked about my sister and how she was doing, but my father's mother, she never liked my sister, never did. I don't even think she had liked my mama either. It's just, I feel like it was a lot of jealousy, hate going on. But yeah, it's just how I was living. I just remember not wanting to get in trouble in school, but you know, of course I would still get in trouble. I just would be scared to go home sometimes because I already knew I had a beating waiting for me. It's just sometimes I never knew what to expect because I was always walking into chaos. I just never knew what to expect. And I used to like not want to go home when he not there because I thought he would protect his child. But he always, like I said, he would always take his wife's words or his other kids' words before he took mine. and he'll be like, I'm lying, I would just get beaten to where I had bruises. It's just been like that, and I'm glad that I got out of that situation. So finally in 2014, 2015-ish, my sister had got custody of me from my father, and I was so happy when I left with my sister. This is when my sister was staying like an hour and 30 minutes away from my father. So we were staying in Goose Creek, South Carolina. It's close to Summerville, but we were staying in Goose Creek. Well, I was staying in this place called Yamasee, South Carolina. It wasn't too far from Whitehall. I said it was about a good 10 minutes from Whitehall, where I was staying with my father in Yamasee and his other children. But finally in 2014-ish, close to 2015, I believe, I got the call from my sister because I was on a bus on my way from home. This is when I was in 9th grade of high school. I was on my way to the bus. Like, I was on the bus, literally about to get off the bus and go in the house, and my sister told me that she finally had got custody of me, and I was so happy, y'all. Like, I literally wanted to scream on the bus. I was smiling from ear to ear. Like, I could not smile. Like, I could not stop smiling. Cheeks was like big. I was smiling. I was so happy because it was a turnaround for me. I was moving on to a new life, moving on to being happy again, moving on to not being abused, moving on to just living a regular kid life, not going through the motions anymore like that. So yeah, 2014 she got custody of me. I moved with her to Goose Creek. She picked me up. I remember that day. I got off the bus, and I think like days before I was packing my stuff, because I just remember my father kept asking me, when are you moving out, or when your sister coming to get you. I didn't know what he was talking about, y'all. I was so confused because my sister was keeping a surprise. Like, she literally told me that when I got in a car with her, when I was moving with her. I didn't know what he was talking about because he would keep asking me that, and I just was like, I don't know. So the day finally came. That day finally came, and she picked me up. I just remember all my stuff was packed. I was just picking up the stuff and moving it out. I remember him sitting in the living room watching TV, and I just remember him looking at me while I took my stuff out. And I just remember this last one item that I had. It was a bin. I just remember him picking it up and throwing it outside, and my clothes fell out the bin, so I had to pick that up. Like, he was angry. And after that, I just had washed my hands with him. Like, I did not talk to him ever after. I didn't talk to him again after that. All his children, all his wife, I just washed my hands with it, because that just shows what type of father you are. That just shows what type of person you are. So yeah, I just remember that. Like, he was so angry, y'all. He could not stand my sister. He was just so angry because he thought my sister put like bugs in my ear, or like to make him seem like he a bad person, when in general it was true. He was a bad person. He was a bad father. So it was true. All of it was true. And I also wanted to mention a situation. I remember, I believe I was in middle school. No, I had to have been in high school, because we had two different bus drivers for middle school and high school. I was definitely high school, because that's when I was riding Miss Ruby bus. Miss Ruby was my high school bus driver. I just remember riding her bus. I remember that morning I had just got in trouble that night. I can't remember what it was about, y'all, but I had a tablet, and my father's wife told me not to take the tablet to school. And you know, of course, me, I'm a hothead, so I didn't listen. I took the tablet to school, and I took my phone. Like, the phone I had was a pink iPhone. I can't remember which iPhone that was. I don't know if that was the iPhone XR or the iPhone, I don't remember what iPhone that was. But if y'all know, I'm gonna pin it up here on the screen. It was the pink iPhone, but I'm gonna pin it up here on the screen. But I remember having that. My sister had bought that pink iPhone for me because I was in high school. I remember that. And the tablet, I think my father bought me that or something. I just remember his wife telling me not to take that to school. So this I was walking to the bus stop, because remind you, the bus was about to come. It was like 6 something in the morning, because the bus driver will always come like like the beginning of 6 o'clock or like 5:50ish or whatever. And I just remember my father's wife following me to the bus stop. Like she literally followed me to the bus stop, and because I ran out of the house real quick without her seeing, like she literally followed me to the bus stop to take the iPad. I remember getting on the bus and she was pulling my legs, and I was just screaming, "Miss Ruby, help me, Miss Ruby, help me," which was the bus driver. I just remember screaming and crying, asking her to help me. And Miss Ruby, you know, she couldn't do nothing. She was literally just sitting there in shock and like frightened because she couldn't help me. And I just remember she finally let me go. My father's wife finally let me go. She took the iPad, but I still had my phone because you're not gonna take no phone that you won't pay for. You're not gonna take no phone that you ain't buy. But yeah, I remember her taking the iPad. Then I just remember getting on the bus, like crying up a storm, calling my sister and be like, she was pulling me, she followed me to the bus stop, she was abusing me, da 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 da. And my sister was just like, calm down, it's okay, it's okay. And you know, I was real frustrated, crying and real mad. Like it was a bunch of people sleep on the bus that day, in that morning, like during that morning. And I woke like the whole bus up because everybody was being nosy or they heard my phone conversation. So I just remember that time. Like, I will never forget that. Like that's literally gonna live with me for the rest of my life. I just remember that time. So basically, I will also get my hair done by my father's his wife nieces. I would get my hair done by them. She would get mad if like my weave was too long. She'd be like, she would just go home and tell my father, and I would get a beating simply for that, when I had told them not to do it that long. But that her nieces would still do it that long, and I would get home and get in trouble. Like I literally got beatings a lot of times for the most stupidest things. That's just how it was. And I just remember them picking with me. Like as I told y'all, I would gain weight. They would just call me like the people, like she reminds you, my father's wife, she worked at what's it called, she worked at like a place where she would help the disabled people and stuff like that. And she would call me their names. Like she'd be like, come and get your food, Shelly, or come get your food, Michael, or stuff like that. She would just pick with me and call me names and stuff like that. And I would tell my father, and of course he didn't believe me. Like she would call me names, and her daughter would just laugh at me and stuff like that. And that's why I would always like eat in the room, because I was picked on. Like they would pick on me. They would watch me eat and call me names and stuff like that. That's why to this day, I know my sister and her wife would do nothing to harm me, but that's why to this day, like when I cook dinner or when my sister cook, I always eat in my room, because I'm ashamed to eat in front of other people because of the trauma that I went through when I was little. Like I'm literally still like that. That's why I don't like eating in front of people, because of that trauma. I'd rather just eat by myself in my room, in my little environment, like just do all that. That's why I don't eat in front of people, because I still live with that trauma to this day, and it's something I need to get over. But I'm doing better. I have occasions where I eat out there with my sister and them. Like they're sitting out there and they just start eating in the living room. Like sometimes I'll stay, or sometimes I'll go, but it depends, because I do like to watch TV when I eat too. So I'm doing better. I'm trying to get rid of that trauma, like let it go, because that been years ago. I'm trying to let it go. But I just like still to this day, I just remember this happened like I think last year or the year before. You know, I was just trying to be nice to like my sister, not my sister, I was trying to be nice to my father's other kids, one of his daughters. I was just trying to tell her for me like misbehaving when I was living with them and stuff like that. I wish I still had the messages. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna have to download Facebook Messenger. I'm pretty sure I still got the messages. I download the messages from Facebook Messenger. As soon as my phone load, I can show y'all the messages. Hopefully I still got them, but I have her blocked after this conversation. But I'm gonna read them to y'all. if it downloads. And you know, I didn't know a lot of stuff like when I was little. Like for instance, I would wash in the tub, and you know, my father's, his wife was so spiteful, and her daughter was so spiteful. Like if you're a girl, you know that you're not supposed to put soap in your private area, like down there, and they didn't tell me that. And I remember putting soap in there and I would burn because of that. Like they were so spiteful. Like I remember burning down there because I would literally put soap in between, like inside of the vagina, when you're not supposed to do that. And they never told me not to do that. Like that's things I didn't know growing up. I was still a child at that time too. Those were things I didn't know growing up, and they didn't tell me that. Like they were very spiteful of that. And I remember one time I was washing in the tub, and his wife would come in there and wash me, and she would be like, do you wash your neck? I just remember her pouring bleach on a rag with some soap and scrubbing my neck really hard, telling me something, you don't wash your neck. And she would show me the rag and how dirty it was and stuff like that. It's just, I was bullied, literally bullied by adults, 2 adults at it, bullied. The Facebook Messenger is still loading, y'all. I'm trying to show y'all the messages from a conversation I had with one of his daughters from his wife. I'm trying to show y'all the messages, but it's really going slow. But yeah, like I said, y'all, I was bullied, and I just would have breakdowns. Like I really thought living with my father I was gonna die. Like I really thought I was not gonna be here today. Like I really physically thought I wasn't gonna be here today. But as I was living in the house, I had to keep talking to myself, you're going to live, you're going to get out of this situation, your sister is going to get you, like you're going to have better days, you're going to have a better life soon. And I just had to keep listening to God and talking to him about it when I was living with him, because I literally thought I was going to die in that house. I literally thought I wasn't going to make it to see this age or to be living in another state. I thought I was going to be dead, like literally, because of everything that I went through living in that house. But Facebook Messenger literally just downloaded, and I need to read y'all the messages. Hold on, y'all. It should still be in here. It gotta still be in here. When did this happen? Yep, I found it, y'all. This was last year of, no, I lie, y'all. This was November 17th in 2020. She texted me on Facebook Messenger first saying, hey, how are you? Can we talk? That's what she said. Hey, how are you? Can we talk? I said, about. And she was like, you reached out a couple of months ago. I responded and you never responded back. I said, let's not play these games. I realized that I had matured when I learned that every action does not need a reaction. Sometimes you have to leave people to do the lame stuff that they do. You all are well aware of the way that y'all treated me. I owe it to myself to forgive you all and move on with my life. Whether or not you all choose to acknowledge what y'all put me through has absolutely nothing to do with me, but has all to do with you all as people. I pray that the Lord has mercy on your soul and be blessed. So this is where she started getting mad and got heated. She said, girl, who treated you wrong? My mother took you in when she didn't have to. You were an outside child. It's plenty of women who wouldn't even stomach that. You got treated better than we did, so keep it real with yourself. If you are so mature that you claim to be, you will realize certain things. Girl, you clearly are delusional. You never had to reach out, to be honest. I have 2 brothers that I have a relationship with, and I'm never pressed to have a relationship with any of my sisters. That's why I reach out, but I ain't pressed for it. Trust and believe one thing I know for sure. Nobody treated you wrong. Nobody disrespected you. Nobody laid a hand on you, which is a lie. And it's a lie that she said nobody treated me wrong. That's all a lie. Like, but she calling me delusional, y'all. but she said maybe your definition of being treated wrong is different than mine, and I'm very blessed. I think it got cut off, but after she said that stuff, I said, don't get in your feelings, honey. It's all good. Why are you so mad? I never called you names. I never showed any hostility. I simply said that I didn't like the way I was treated, and I wanted to forgive you all. That's it. You question my maturity, but you're calling me names. How old are you again? In other words, if you didn't want me to reach out, you shouldn't have contacted me months later. Clearly you are pressed. Bye, babes. So yeah, that was the situation with her, but it really like hurt my soul when she was like, I was the outside child. Her mother took me in when she didn't have to and stuff like that. It's basically saying, oh yeah, my mother could have left you or put you in foster care, or she could have just have you living with somebody else then. So yeah, I just remember her reaching out, and that was that. So a couple of months went by, y'all. I don't know how. I thought my Facebook was private, but clearly it's probably not. My father reached out to me on my birthday. If y'all know Aquarius gang, my birthday is February the 11th. But he reached out to me on February the 11th, 2001. He was like, happy birthday, enjoy your day. So y'all, I text back to a year later, which was February 2022. I said, sorry, I'm just not seeing this, thank you. He's trying to have a whole conversation with me like nothing happened, y'all. So he was like, how are you doing? I was like, good, what about you? He was like, I'm good, I'm just working. I said, that's good, I had just been busy with school. He said, okay, I'm always thinking about you. As long as you're doing good, everything is all right. So I said, how is everyone doing? Like, I literally ignored his statement when he said, I'm always thinking about you. And I said, everyone is doing good. And remind y'all, I told y'all he don't like my sister. Like, he didn't like my sister, but he asked about her. He was saying, how is your sister? And I said, she's doing good. And he was like, good to hear from you, and that's good. And he texted me happy birthday again of this year, but he texted me a couple of days later. He texted me on February 16th saying, happy birthday, enjoy your day. And he was saying something about he wanted to take me out to lunch, and I told him I live in California now, which is a lie. I live on the West Coast, but I don't live in California. And he said okay. Then Mother's Day this year, he tried to check on me, and like, cause you know it's been years since I lost my mother, me and my sister did, so he tried to check on me on Mother's Day this year or whatever. But yeah, I feel like he hasn't changed. I feel like people can change, but a man like that, I feel like he hasn't changed. And I don't want to say just because I feel like he was abused as a child, but that don't give you no right to abuse your own children, like your own child. But that's basically was my life. I'm just thankful that I made it out of that situation, that I'm alive today, that I'm able to share my story. I'm thinking about writing a book. It's so much information that I didn't include in this video that I still have to tell y'all about, but I'm just thankful to be alive, because many years ago I thought I was going to be dead because of living in that situation. But I really thank God for being alive. I really thank for my sister for fighting for me hard, for caring about her little sister and bringing her little sister back to live with her, because we were torn apart, like literally torn apart. Like, he wouldn't let me see my sister at all when I first moved with him. It was, we had to go through the court system for them to like arrange times where I could spend the weekends at my sister's house, some weekends, like every other weekend, then be with my father, because of course I was living with him and had to go back to school and go to school and stuff like that. But yeah, it would be times where we had to like meet each other certain places so my sister can pick me up, or sometimes she would just drive all the way to pick me up after work. It just was a lot, y'all, but I'm so grateful for her. Like, me and my sister is close like this now. I'm living with my sister now until I'm able to move out, y'all. She do not want me to move out now because I want my own apartment, and she was just like, enjoy not paying like bills, like apartment bills now, like your rent and stuff. Just enjoy being young. She was like, it's no rush, but I'm gonna stay with her as long as I can until I'm able to get my apartment or whatever. But I love my sister. We're literally like this because that situation literally brought us closer together after that. But I'm really grateful for her that she fought for me, because she didn't have to do that. She could have been the type of sister and just left me with him until I was able to move out, like 17, 18, was able to move out on my own. But she got me, and she stick to her word that she told me that she was gonna get me and bring us back together again. I really love her, and I thank her for everything that she do for me, like still to this day. Like, I really thank her, because imagine if I had to go through that until I was 18, able to move out. It just was traumatizing. But I'm still in the process of working on forgiving them, like forgiving my father and his wife and his other children, because I know that that's the only way I can heal, the only way I can heal from that trauma and move on. And it's just, it's not worth your own life. It's not worth your time or your energy or your soul to keep that in for so long. But I'm just grateful, like I said, grateful to be alive, grateful to always see another day, grateful to being able to move out of South Carolina and move into a better state and just level up more. But I really thank y'all for watching this video. I will see y'all in the next video, and thank y'all.
And I never ever let the fuckery get to me. Why not? Niggas ain't worth my energy. What you had to do? Cut them off.